Stand for the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Chris Buckman.
Yeah.
Brandon Earl.
Here.
Andrea Kreifels.
Here.
Jason Newberry.
Here.
Deanna Garver.
Here.
Tom Henning.
Here.
Pat Zika.
Hold on, I just closed my agenda. Okay, adoption of the agenda.
I'll make a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same. Were you opposed, Pat?
I said aye.
Okay, sorry. Recognition of patrons and staff.
Yes, Mr. Wilmoth is here to visit with you this evening.
Welcome, sir.
Welcome. Thank you. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Mike Wilmoth. I taught here for 42 years, coached, had 3 careers, teaching, social studies and driver's ed, coaching baseball, and refereeing football. And the reason I'm here is a lot of people have asked me what I thought about the possibility of changing the football stadium. And I thought it didn't do much good to talk to people around town because they don't make any decisions, and you all do. And I think that my opinion probably is not gonna be real popular with a lot of people, but I think we need to move out to the high school. And of the thousands of football games that I've refereed and worked and coached and different things, on-site works the best. There's tradition, obviously. Arc City moved theirs to the school site. I refereed a game there this year. Those kids, that's tradition. That brand new place is their tradition. Humboldt, Kansas, couldn't move their stadium because Walter Johnson played there. They moved it. It's now the show place of Southeast Kansas and Iola and Chanute and the other large schools around there use their facilities. They have upgraded their facilities. They've upgraded their program. And their administrators are much, much happier people. We had an administrator leave to go to Andover Central or no, May South or something like that, whichever one of those gold and black schools. And he now takes 5 minutes to get a football game ready to go. You put out 12 pylons, open up the press box, and you go. And you go. I was at a funeral on Friday, sat right next to the commissioner of the Chisholm Trail. First question is not how Rod looks good. This official that's worked for 50 years. We're gonna miss him. First question is, what's Wellington gonna do about its football stadium? That's the question I get all across South Central Kansas. If people here, it's time. Brandon played there. I remember Taylor throwing him balls there. I'm never going to forget that. That history will be there. We'll put a great plaque there. There'll be great memories. Then the next generation of great football players will play out at the high school, have a lot of success, be safer, better, more convenient, some parking, all kinds of things. Any questions for me? I've got lots of examples. Clay Center, Abilene, Concordia, all kinds of places that I've worked. I've seen them on campus, off campus.
What did you mean at the beginning when you first started talking and you said people have been talking to you and everybody talks about football, blah, 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 and you said the people downtown, they won't make decisions.
No,
What do you mean by that?
I meant the people that I was talking to aren't going.
Okay.
I've not talked to any one
No,
of you guys.
Yeah, I know, not, I just meant.
Yeah, just the people around town. Mike,
Yeah,
what do you
they're not
think?
gonna make a decision. Yeah.
What, they don't make the decisions.
Yeah.
They just
Sure,
do like me, right?
okay.
But, it's you all that have to do it. And, it doesn't do me any good to, after mass, for someone to say, Mike, should we change the football stadium? That doesn't make any difference. That's not how our system works. I've taught that stuff for a little while. I used to think I knew how that worked. I'm not real sure right now. Yes,
Yeah, Mike, thanks so much for being here and giving us your opinion. I really value your opinion. What do you think about a turf field
Oh,
versus a grass field?
it would be the most ridiculous thing in the world for us not to go with turf, artificial turf. I will not officiate most nights unless it's on artificial turf. It's so, and 20 years ago, I would have said something totally opposite. But the safety, Missouri Southern, that field was horrible. Different places that I've worked were horrible. Now, it's beautiful. Now, kids get hurt on both places.
Why is the NFL wanting to go back to grass?
The NFL, much better. NFL has full-time people. And what they do, Pat, is they got a machine that will go down and they throw it down and it goes how far it goes into the ground and how soft it is.
You're talking about real grass.
I'm talking about real grass.
You seen our baseball field?
We don't.
If you take care of the football field, like our baseball field.
I have seen our baseball field a time or two.
It's
I think I helped build that. I think I helped
I'm
build
just
that.
saying, it's gold.
But I also think if you're going to change, I would put turf everywhere.
You didn't answer my question, why the NFL players.
Because they have the facilities, they can get it soft. You go and you watch at the 15-yard line, the safety factor there, it's not the same. Every field that you go, 3-yard line, it's gone. Turf is, if you got the guy at Andover is gonna keep theirs until that guy retires, and then they're gonna move. Then they'll move.
So you're saying, if you take care of it.
Yeah, well, yeah, but
And we
the
used to
cost
take care
of,
of ours.
the cost and the maintenance and the you don't have to worry about any rain. You don't have to worry
I
about
wish we would have to worry about rain.
you don't have to worry about rain. You don't have to play a football game or to play a baseball game. If it stops raining and stops lightning, you can go. I think it would be new facility, that track, I've got great visions of grandeur, obviously, and I don't have to pay for it.
Well. You moving?
No,
You're not gonna be a taxpayer and pay.
I will pay, I would, to see Platt Avery play on a new stadium out there, I would pay pretty good money. I pay pretty good money to see him play a lot of things.
Yeah.
Other questions? If you need examples, if you need to go see people, I have lots of people who would be glad to talk to you. We've got principals, we've got superintendents, we've got athletic directors all over. Why did Winfield do what they did? Why did Derby do what they did? Those two stadiums are not on campus. What are the drawbacks? What are the positives?
Good stuff. Anybody got any questions? More questions for him?
Thank you for your time.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming.
Adam?
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Okay, moving on to our first discussion item, which is the WHS land sale request.
Yes, last month, the board talked about land sale request, and majority of board members had talked about the looking at a lease option within that, and so reached out to these fine fellows and got a lease option to present to you, and so that is up for discussion tonight, and I'll let them jump on up here for any questions that they might have. So.
Can I ask a question before they start that we would need to know, right?
Sure, yeah.
Because we all got the email about, we
Oh,
did
taxes, yeah.
taxes on it, can you tell us what those taxes would be
Sure,
a year?
I'll let Darcy's been investigating that, so I'll let her jump in.
They said if they surveyed off 1 acre, it'd be, based off the 23 land model, it'd be $1,390 for the land only,
A year.
a year.
Good to see everyone again. I got halfway here and realized I forgot coffee, so.
Sorry
Sorry about that.
Should come back.
What questions do you have for me, or should we update them on where we're at with things?
Well, we just put a proposal together so you guys had something to look at and think about from a lease perspective. And we have not gone into contacting Casey's or KDOT at this point. But the way that we did structure this, it would provide for access either from the KDOT access point, the Casey's access point, or potentially the drive that comes into the school. So that's the way that this was propositioned, and if it's something that you guys want to proceed with, then we would pursue KDOT to see if they would allow a cut-in, because that would be the preferred method. But if not, then we could go either way from either Casey's or the school's access point.
Yeah, just a couple other things. I mean, this is still very in the preliminary stages. Scooter's real estate team is aware of this site, and we're kind of looking at it and talking with you guys. But it has not been formally presented for approval or their input on design, layout, and that sort of thing. So we're just kind of still testing the waters to see where you guys are at with things and what can be done.
The other,
Is your first choice your very own interest and excess? Is that what you, is that
That
what you're?
that would be ideal.
Okay, and then another one is using the schools, and then you would have one probably.
depending on what KDOT allows us to do, right? So that would be ideal, is if we could come right off of the
Into
KDOT.
our drive and then through your,
That would be the second choice.
Yes,
okay.
just start
The
off
first
16.
choice would
I just
be
wanna make
right
sure I'm
off of the
clear.
highway. The second choice would be off of the school's access. The third choice would be off of Casey's access.
Yeah, we would by far, I mean, me personally, I'd love by far to have my own easement. And it stands a way better chance of getting approved by the Scooters real estate team. Just
Yeah.
you see way better sales, better use of access, everything's better if you have your own easement, but if that's not feasible, then we gotta look at option B or C.
The other thing that you'll notice on the letter of intent that was provided is we're looking at a kind of a start date on the lease of the first quarter of 2024. So a year out. The reason for that is there's 2 other sites that he's working on right now that
Yeah, we just about a month ago, right? Arc City, got a piece of land down there. We're in the process of purchasing. And so I'm targeting midway through this year to get that open. And there's also a site in Bel Air that I've been chasing, making some progress. So don't make it sound like we're getting cold feet and pushing Wellington off. It's just a more matter of order of how they were presented and how the dominoes are falling in place.
You have looked at other sites here in Wellington though, right?
Yeah, and so far in discussions with my, the real estate or rep at Scooters, the other ones we've looked at probably aren't in our best interest.
So I see on here the brokerage fee of 6% that the Wellington School Board is gonna agree to. That's for the first 10 years at $2,000 a month, so that's $240,000. So that's basically $15,000 to you.
that would be to our organization. Yeah, we don't get to keep all that unfortunately, but yes.
say those numbers again, Chris.
They're offering $2,000 a month for first 10 years, which makes it $24,000 a year. Times 10 would be $240,000, which would make it $14,400. That they're asking the school to pay for the brokerage. Why wouldn't you pay for it, Scooters?
split.
Yeah, I mean, it could be
That's
any
it.
form or fashion, so it's all negotiable. The 2,000 a month, you know, that could potentially be 2,300 a month to capture a portion of that back, or, I mean, we're open to talking about what works for everybody.
Has our lawyer looked at this?
Has not, but I can get it to him.
Yeah, and this, just for your guys' information, is a non-binding agreement.
Yeah, I seen that.
Nope, I want you guys to say it first.
So before you, what would you need from us before you talk to KDOT? 'Cause that's my holdup. I mean, me personally, just me, I would like to sell that little piece of land and have KDOT's blessings. But, if everybody's leasing it, then okay, but I would be held up on what KDOT says. You know, I just want to be safe for the kids out there. That's my biggest concern, so.
Yeah,
When would you check that out, at what step?
I think we're getting close now. I mean,
Yeah.
we were kind of directed down the lease path, so that's kind of the path that we've
Sure,
gone
figure out
down.
that.
And that's great. As soon as we kind of get an indication from you all that, yeah, this looks like something that we're willing to back. There's a whole bunch of parameters that need to be filled out, and KDOT has to agree, and, you know, we have to come up with a lease that's agreeable to both you guys and scooters and all that stuff. But if you say, yep, this looks pretty good, we're willing to move forward with you guys, then we'll contact KDOT, that'll be our next call. Because that'll be the first thing that we wanna do, is trying to get that access point.
Does KDOT charge for any of that? Is it, like, we don't wanna, we don't wanna see you out money if we're not decided for.
Yeah, and that we don't know.
Okay,
And that's why we're kind of dragging our feet a little bit.
Yep.
So, but we'll make that call. I mean, last indication, it seemed positive, head down the lease road. This is kind of a starting proposal for you guys to consider. If it's something that seems like it's within the ballpark of making sense, then we're willing to do some more work and figure out if KDOT's willing to do it.
And those are things, I mean, from my perspective, if it's a site I'm interested in and 100% gung ho about, then that's just part of site development, because you're going to spend some money to have some surveys done, so.
One thing we were uncertain about is the time, because we had not talked about the first quarter of 2024 with y'all yet. So we wanted to make sure, is that okay? And if it's not, then we do need to know that so that we can go in a different direction. But if it is, then we can kind of continue.
I guess one of my holdups is using the school drive for the entrance and exit, especially when school is in session. That's probably one of your busiest times. I'm just afraid that that's not very safe for the kids going to school.
Yeah, understand.
Walking, driving.
And I'll be upfront, that's not my first option, and like I said, we'd like to have our own easement. But with limited options, let's just say KDOT is a firm no. It's pretty unlikely that Casey's would say, yeah, come on board, we sell coffee too, but you can use our easement. So that was simply the lack of other options.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that either, especially knowing that they're gonna have to come in and then make a left out of there to get back on the highway and with the students coming into the school there.
Yeah, understood.
Just doesn't look good.
Yeah, I don't think it's feasible either, honestly.
And there's kind of a divide, there's a median in between there, so.
Yeah,
You'd have to come
that was
back
kind of my
ways.
gut feeling, to be honest with you guys, but and here's the reality, I mean, we look at this, I mean, we'll give it an old, college try, I hope something can work out, but there's been other sites that I've put a lot of effort and time and money into that haven't worked out either, so, again, don't take that as getting cold feet, but we're just going through the process of trying to get a site open here, and this, in my opinion, is one of the better spots in town that,
It's a great spot. I just don't like the schools thing either.
Yeah.
But you were kind of, when I was talking about what Casey's had to do, were you in on any of that, or you said you kind of remember that they couldn't use?
Yeah, I don't remember, I don't know if I remember that. I know that there's been other businesses talk about getting another entrance onto the highway, and they haven't had real great luck with KDOT, so.
Yeah, and my concern has always been the distance between your access point and
Yep.
Casey's, and there's just not a lot of space to get another one. It can be done, obviously, but KDOT, they typically want distance. So that's my worry.
And you wouldn't want to come off of Crusader Road because that's just an extra, get people out of the way, the turnpike. I was just thinking of a back exit, but.
if I built a bridge over.
So,
we're certainly willing to pursue the KDOT and the Casey's. I mean, I'm kind of hearing maybe not off of the school, which we completely understand. I'm willing to pursue the other two if you think the rest of it kind of is in the parameter of okay.
I think everything else makes sense except using the school drive.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with that. I mean, I obviously want our, like Chris mentioned, our lawyer to look at this, just,
I will get it to him.
but if the lawyer says it's good, it can go a vote, I'm in favor of what I see here.
You need any formal action from us tonight, or just kind of a general consensus?
Yep. Just new direction. So I'll get that to Martin and have him look at it, and we can move forward with.
Have you guys
What
got a
about
general
dates?
consensus as far as kind of what you think because I think we're all kind of on the same page as far as we don't want to see the school drive being used.
But the 2024 is okay, you know, as a general
I
time
mean,
frame.
obviously, yeah, that's kind of, obviously the quicker you can get the business in,
Yeah, and then, I mean, personally,
we're in no hurry. I
If
mean,
I
I
had
would
a
think
endless-
you would wanna get that generating income as quick as possible,
yeah,
so.
and if I had an endless supply of dollars and people to run all the stores but getting 3 stores open in 1 year for me is probably not realistic.
Thank you, we'll keep working. and-
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, appreciate it. We'll get some coffee, guys.
Next time you could bring some.
Yeah, I know. I came straight from the store too.
Good
See,
Yeah, have a good night.
Have a good night, guys.
Okay, next item is CTE Advisory Committee and Goals.
Yes, Renee is here this evening to talk about CTE advisory.
Yes.
Yeah. And Elizabeth, sorry.
Yep. Karen's got us all set up here. You guys had received a Google slide presentation in your packet. Let's send that out to you as well. So first of all, we just both want to say thanks. We just want
Don't
to
be
say
shy.
thanks for letting us come this evening. We don't intend to read every slide to you as soon as it warms up here, but our goal is to just give you an idea of kind of what we're doing when it comes to CT. I'm gonna scoot over this way so you can see it. We have an advisory committee that helps us make decisions on equipment that we purchase. It helps us decide on, you know, who else in the community could we ask to help serve on our advisory committee. And they also look at what we teach in the classroom, if they can provide guidance for that. So we look for them for a lot of different things. So I think I can just kind of, skip over this one. First thing that I kind of want to talk about is the certifications. Now, this information was put together in November of 2022. So this is what we shared out with our advisory committee, and we meet with them in person once a year. And in the spring of the year, we do our showcase and we invite them to the showcase. And then we also have a newsletter that Melissa Buchanan's marketing class puts together that we send out, which you guys get a copy of that too. It's sent to you as well to kind of let you know what we're doing. But we had 5 students already that have their CNA. We've done what's called CPAS testing, which is considered a third-party certification through the state of Kansas, and the state of Kansas, the Department of Ed, they only have that available for the students that are involved with agriculture. So we worked really hard to make sure that it was pushed out in the fall this year rather than waiting till after the first of the year for a lot of different reasons, and it worked out really well. So we had 17 students that finished that up. We also worked with the counseling office to make sure that the students received the Work Keys certification. And not every employer recognizes that, but Sumner County is on the top of the list as far as that's one of the hiring criteria that they usually look at in manufacturing and other types of businesses. So we want to make sure that the students are aware of that. So that we had 75 juniors, and it's free through the state of Kansas also. It hasn't always been free, but I think it's been 2 years, is that right? Okay. And then we also invited the Workforce Center from Wichita down to our students and administered a workshop for just to cover soft skills. Everything that we hear when it comes to hiring is that employers are willing to teach them the technical skills, but they need an employee that's ready to work, to show up on time, and to be responsible. And so we had a half-day workshop, I think it was back in November when we did that, and we had 24 students participate in that as well. All right, now when you look at Perkins, work with Darcy in her office with this as well. We're in a consortium with Mulvane School District. And so we work cooperatively with them, with what they're eligible for and what we're eligible for, and then we make decisions on how that money's gonna be spent. So this just kind of gives you an idea of how we've spent it from our standpoint, from our district. And in addition to what we bought with Perkins, we've also accessed the foundation grant, and they were instrumental this year in helping us to purchase hand tools for the ag program at the middle school, which was helpful, and they were very helpful in purchasing stoves for the middle school in their fax room as well. So we'll be in contact with them again here in February. There's a wall stove at the middle school. We're gonna try and replace that one then as well. Okay, the next thing that we're gonna look at is what's called a work-based learning continuum. So it goes from awareness up to preparation. And so the district is kind of everywhere on this continuum. So usually it's your elementaries at the get-go. In the middle, we have the middle school, and then at the high school, kind of what we should be working on with them there. I thought I'd let you know that we do have job shadows and internship opportunities. We had 14 different college visits that we coordinated over the course of last fall, and we'll continue to do that in the spring as well. And the middle school is in the middle of putting together the IPS process, the individual plan of study, and how that whole career advisory piece works for 6 through 8. So thank you to Mr. Meyer and his group. They've worked really hard on making that happen. And we're going to be working with the elementary staff. We actually have a meeting set up for January 23rd. And we have a representative from each one of the elementaries that are going to work with us to work on a career fair in the spring. This was something that started out of a group that came together, it was a year ago in December. We got together and started working on, where we want to see this whole career awareness go for K through 12 and not just focus on 9 through 12. And Vanessa Sori has quite a bit of experience putting that together, so she's going to help us out with that too. Okay. All right, now we kind of broke down to some of the different opportunities that each grade level had available to them just this school year in the fall semester. So I'm not gonna go over each one of them, but I'm gonna try and pick at least one out of each grade level that I felt and add whatever you to, Elizabeth, it's not just me here. But with our freshmen, we contacted WSU Tech and they came down with the Future Mobile Maker Lab, and there was, isn't it CJ Carey, isn't that correct? Okay, so Mrs. Gill, she goes, hey, Renee, what about putting them at the high school? Can we do something with them? I said, I've reached out to them multiple times, and I always get a no. And I'll be darned, I dropped CJ Carey's name. Next thing you know, Future Mobile Maker Lab is down in Wellington, Kansas, so it worked out. We did a 2-day program. Every freshman had a 90-minute session that dealt with STEM activity. And so it took us 2 days to get all of them through, and it was between me and I think it was Mrs. Nance was in the other classroom. So I would supervise one, she was in the other, and their staff really did all of it. We were just there for crowd control, and we weren't even needed. Those students came in, they were on task, and it was just a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to watch them. They loved it. Oops, gotta go back one. So if we look at our sophomores, I'm kind of partial to the Reality U that we've done. This is the 5th year that we've hosted it, and I want to say the last 3 years we've actually invited other Sumner County schools to join us. We have other sophomores throughout the county that came, and I think this year it was Caldwell, South Haven, Argonia, Conway, Springs. I think were the groups that joined us this year.
What's Crave Academy?
Oh, that is a for-profit school for cosmetology. So we have several students that are interested in it, and so we were trying to show them the experience between what a private school would cost and a nonprofit, so they could kind of see, $7,000 versus $20,000, so yeah. So yeah, and I honestly probably wouldn't have put that on the list except for I had, like I said, several students that were interested, and a couple actually approached me and said, can we go here too? And I said, well, yeah, I think we can do that, and so, yeah.
Good.
Yeah. So reality U, they just take on the role of an adult, a young adult, like a 24-year-old, 26-year-old, and they're given a budget, a job, and they may or may not be married, they may have children, they may not have children, but their wage that they're earning is tied to their grade point average. So the guy that puts it together is Patrick Seal out of Wichita, and he is just awesome. I mean, the closing presentation that he gives, the debriefing as he calls it, is the most valuable part, I think, of that whole thing, because he really shares an explosive story about himself, and it's really good. So really enjoyed that. Then we go into our junior, oops, I did the wrong one. And we've got several things coming in here. Probably one of my favorites is the Dog for a Day. It's available to juniors and seniors. And it was Amber Dawson with Ascension Via Christi that's worked hard in order for us to get that connection, to get the invite. And they go and they see what it's like to be a doctor. They go from doing CPR to delivering a child, and I don't even know what all is it. But every student we've only had 2 that have actually participated. So the selection process is stiff. I mean, you need to apply early, make sure you're one of the first ones in. That's kind of the key there. So, and there's usually an application fee with that. And we work with the students to make sure that if that can't be covered, make sure that gets covered for them. So that's kind of one of my favorites. Now, we did go, Cali does the College Planning Conference. So there's this Futures Fair in Wichita where it has all the schools across the state of Kansas, like post-secondary institutions, come in, and you get like 30 minutes to go in and go through Coke Arenas just in a big circle and talk to whatever rep you want to talk to. Well, Cali did the similar thing, but, and I should remember the acronym, I can't think of it off the top of my head, but they invited us, and the students actually got 90 minutes to visit with post-secondary institutions. And so, to me, 90 minutes is a whole lot better than 30 minutes. So we took a group and we went down, and there were over 50 institutions represented, 4-year, 2-year, private, public, for-profit, military, so there was all kinds of stuff available there too. So let's see if I get the right one this time. Okay, so when we look at our seniors, and I did point it out that seniors, I mean, for the most part, all the activities that were available to freshmen, sophomores, juniors, every grade level has access to that. We usually try to limit the college visits to juniors and seniors, but we had several sophomores go with us this year too. So if there's room and it's not filled up and the student expresses an interest, then they're more than willing or welcome to go with us. It's fine. So that's kind of the big thing is with our seniors is during career advisory, we focus on year 13 and 14. And just a shout out to Mrs. Vaughn, over the summer, last summer, we talked about putting together at a glance what career advisory would look like from freshman through senior. And so she put together a document for freshmen through seniors that basically the teachers that are involved with career advisory can just go to that document, click on that week, and see what the lesson is and preview it at their convenience. So it's not like they're waiting to get information, that it's there for them. So she's quiet, she's not gonna say anything, but I very much appreciate all that she did with that. And that framework has developed the basis for what we're moving forward with for 6th through 8th grade too. So I'm pretty sure she didn't have a summer by the time, and I'm not exaggerating. I mean, that was a lot. That's a lot going into it. I have freshmen this year in career advisory, and when I open up that document, it just blows my mind every single time, wondering, my gosh, how did she get all these links to work? So it's pretty amazing, pretty good. You guys have any questions about any of this so far? Anybody? Nope. Okay. So the thing that we like to, I threw this out there too, just kind of gave you an idea, and so the advisory committee could know also what are some student projects that are happening in each one of the pathways. So we didn't list all of them, we just made sure that we touched on at least one in each of the areas so you could kind of get an idea of what the students are doing. But one of the main things in the fall is to get with them and to establish goals. We're in mode now, it's called pathway maintenance. So between now and the middle of February, we have to get, I guess it's the 1st of March now, we have to get all our pathways approved again. And in that process is you reestablish the goals that you're working with. So there's 4 areas that we focus on: partnerships, the physical environment, professional development, and instructional strategies. And so every pathway has a goal in each one of these areas, but when we come together as a big group. And so the main discussion is, what do we have in common as a big group? And so these were the ones that we kind of have in common. Then we talk about how they can help us out, and then they give us some feedback from that as well. So, you know, when we talked about who we could get involved with as far as internships and pathways, so the names that I was given back in November, I already reached out to some of those people, and they're like, yes, we'd like to be involved. So it's helpful because you get people that are actually working in that industry that have those connections that can help us make those connections for our students then. So, yeah, so that's kind of, I think, where we kind of ended, and then I gave you just a little bit of an idea of kind of what we were up to. So you know, when you guys know Mrs. Chase, so you know she's involved in everything there is that you can be involved when it comes to FFA. So when I hit her up and I said, so give me some ideas of what you've been doing. Of course, she starts rattling off this long list, and I said, I need a summary, Linda, just a summary. And I saw this out in her shop area, and I said, that's what I need right there. I need that picture. So, and that's just one thing that they've done. I mean, they compete in things all the time, but her students had over 40 awards that they had won at the state fair, and that was in September. I mean, that's the very beginning of the school year, so they've only added to that since then. And this is that doc for the day that happened this fall. And then Mr. Elder's group out in the construction, they have a man cave they were working on, just I tried to say just the nuts and bolts of it last year, and then they put the finishing touches on it this year, so that's pretty cool.
That's my question, who's getting a man cave?
Who is, you know, I never asked him that. I don't know. I know it's not at my house.
Who's getting a man cave?
But this was kind of fun to go to WSU Tech. We have so many students. When we look, it's like health and art seems to be where our students are the most interested. And so they have an animation gaming at WSU Tech. And so that's what the majority of the students wanted. There were a handful, they have like a veterinary assistant tech program there too that they wanted to check out. But most of our students wanted to see what the whole animation and the gaming was like, and they just had a wonderful time. So it was just, and I didn't go on that visit. I told Mr. Larkey and Mrs. Groom, I said, you know, that's what you guys deal with. I think you should go with them and see kind of what it's like. And everybody came back pretty fired up, so that was pretty fun. But I went with this group to K-State Power Cat Day. They were fun, and the group at Emporia, that was good too. Making cinnamon rolls. How many did we make? Do you remember? Yeah.
I thought it was 90-some.
I think so. I think it was 90-some dozen we made that day. So yeah, it was quite a bit. Elizabeth tries to forget those days.
Yeah.
It's her and Mel both. They don't want to do those. So, and then we have another young lady that she's doing her internship over at Eisenhower. And so, big shout out to the elementaries. I don't know what we would do without them too. I mean, they're always there. We have two that actually are at Kennedy, and they absolutely love it. And we have the one that's at Eisenhower, and I'm sure there'll be more to come, but it's nice to see when they find that passion, what they like. And so that's kind of what we like to have for the students. So you guys have any questions for us?
I have a
Did I tell
question.
them? But go ahead.
So, you skipped over the slide that I have a question about the facilities tour.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
assuming this is like 5 members or 6 members of the committee, and you ranked it
Yes.
from 1 to 10. And
Yeah, well, we ranked them from 1 to 5.
well, I see some number 6s on there, so that's where.
Okay, so I could be wrong. So there must have been 6 different projects we were looking at. That's
Okay.
what it was.
So each line or row is a person, how they rank.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. And so when you look in this first column, see how it had most of the ones? So that was what we focused on first. And so This is great, because my next thing, what I tell Mr. Elder, I really would like to get to this. I would like for him to have his own van. Mr. Hatfield, he goes, I know, you call me all the time.
It's been talked about.
I would love for him to be able to have his own van so he could store his tools in there. Right now, he's sharing the truck, red truck that's out in the shop area, FFA, and he both, but when one needs it, he always has to unload everything, and it's just like, God, it's not convenient. So we could get it into a van, and then you don't have to unload the van. That would be great. That would be great. So yeah, there was some school van that came up for sale, and I'm like, Mr. Hatfield, did you forget about us? He goes, no, you don't want that one.
That's been the problem.
Okay.
All the ones that we've gotten rid of, we don't want students
You don't
anywhere
want
near
that
us.
one. All right. So we plan on the showcase in the spring again. We haven't set a definite date on that. And then we will have the newsletter put together again that we'll send out. So, yeah, so thank you. And I don't know that I mentioned, but one of the goals was that we
Yes.
always keep the Board of Education updated about what we're doing. And I'm terrible about doing that. And I think it's because I just don't like presenting. Isn't that weird?
Yeah,
Isn't
but
that
you do a
weird?
great job.
But I don't like doing it. Well, I do it okay because she's with me. But anyway, so I think that's it. Okay.
Can I
Thank
ask
you
you a
very
question about
much.
something else?
Yes.
This was amazing and wonderful and it's amazing. You know, we talked last year, I think it was, about like adding a graduation requirement.
Yes.
How's that going, or what is?
We have it, and we have a few freshmen actually that are in it right now. We asked that we'd like for them to take the financial literacy course their junior, senior year, but we have a few freshmen that are in it right now, and you're teaching that, correct? So how do you feel it's going?
It's going good, but when you have the 9 through 12 in a class and ninth graders have no idea, it's hard to make it applicable. So when it gets to just juniors and seniors, I think it'll be better.
And when did we say that? When does that graduation start as a graduation requirement?
For the the freshmen
The
this year.
freshman this year,
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
I
So,
just have been wondering about that.
yes, thank you
Thank
for
you.
asking. Yep, that's in place and off and running with that, so. Yeah. Okay,
Appreciate all your work.
all right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, yeah.
Next thing on the agenda is bullying harassment flyers.
Yes, Mr. Nance. Ms. Gill.
All right, so we have updated the flyer, so that this is the most current version, and it is for K through 12 schools. And so I guess the reason for the flyer is, so in looking through our board policy, and it says in our agenda how we address bullying in our schools. Places I've been before have a flyer that you go through with your students when they're referred for that. It goes home to your parent, so your student's parent. Your counselor goes over with it. They sign it with you, and then you take it home and review it with your parents, and they sign it and bring it back. And so I asked our counselors, I said, what do you do with our kids? Well, we talked with them about it. We go over the incident with them, and we counseled them a little bit with that. So we looked into, Ms. Gill and I talked about it and looked into maybe having a document that would track that, so that when a student had that referral and they had that information, that there would be something that across the secondary schools and across the district, we'd be using the same language. We would have correlations with that with the report line of an Officer Wiley, which you can see there on the inside of the document is a place that you can QR scan to make a report, because those are up everywhere, and have some common language around what bullying is, so we can educate our students on what it really is. Bullying becomes a kind of a buzzword, and so we wanted to have that. We wanted to have common language around harassment and what sexual harassment is, and then have our resources on there as well. So we've had this in place. Ms. Gill is doing most of our disciplines, so if you can talk about how you've gone over this with some of the kids for the committee.
So we, and JJ is who brought it to me, but just the restorative practices when the
students come to the office with a discipline referral or come talk to me about an incident where they feel like they're being bullied. We really try to use the restorative practices and take it less from a punitive, a consequence that just encompasses like all things, like it's not just an automatic suspension of 5 days. We want the students to learn from it and hopefully accept what they did, what they contributed to the issue and the problem. Where this comes in handy is have students come to me with discipline issues and they say, well, that she is bullying me or he was bullying me. So we can sit down and this helps us to talk about what is bullying, what is harassment, how do we see those so we can identify, is it really bullying or are you guys just not getting along and it's a two-way street? So that's been nice, especially we've had parents come in saying somebody's bullying, so we can sit down and we can have this definitive what is bullying. And then once we've determined that, yeah, maybe some bullying was occurring, then whoever the bully is, we also have common language that we can talk to them about how this is happening, what they're doing, how can we fix this, and come up with plans on, this even includes how do you quit bullying? How do you stop if you're the bully or the harasser? So it's nice to just kind of go through those and say, identify where their actions are hurting other people, and then how can they remove themselves from that situation and fix that. Part of our restorative practices, which aren't on here, having those meetings later once both parties feel comfortable, and we bring both parties in together. We had even 2 parents come in at one point to sit down. They both tell each other their side of the story, how it made them feel. They acknowledge the other person's feelings, and then they come up with a plan together on let's try to avoid this in the future. And so that's been really nice.
And so the form has, we worked with Officer Wiley, it has his information on it if they want to contact him. It also has, there's some resources on there on the back that you can see. There is the portion here on the bottom for the student to sign it and the parent to sign it if they've gone over with them. And then like I said, the speak up, what's they call it? See, say, save is what the tip line is here. It's got the number on it and it's also got the QR code. So if a kid would need to report something, they could do that as well. And so we're looking at using this after talking at our BAM meeting with our elementary counterparts. We use this K through 12. So there's common language all the way through. We align that and it aligns with what our policies and our handbook say and board policy says. Question?
I just like it because it's positive.
Yeah.
I've talked, I don't know about you, I've talked to several people in the schools about when kids test positive for, drugs or marijuana or whatever, we just tell them that. And I'd like to kind of see the same thing where that's positive too. We're not just saying, okay, you tested positive, you gotta go, every time we do it, you have to be tested, which is great. But also some kind of communication with them.
Right.
The same language, the same, just like you're saying with this type of thing, with that too, instead of just addressing that in a negative manner.
Well, and this doesn't even talk about that, but
Yeah, I know, I'm just saying
and
to be.
Restorative practices,
Right,
like I said, he brought it all in, and I just read the book,
But,
even if I didn't, I hate
Yeah,
reading it or
restorative
read it.
practices, that's what I like. That's the part, give me the book, I like it.
Yeah, it's amazing, like even, in the past, for our handbook, a fight is a 5-day OSS. If you get in a fight, it was 5 days OSS. But both those kids came back and they still don't like each other. They're still fighting. And through this, it was the first one I witnessed with them. I was like, okay, I'll read the book now. But those kids, the 2 boys got in a fight, and we brought them back a day early, and they sat down and we talked to both of them individually, and then put them together. And they both told why did I come up and hit you? Well, I hit you back because you did. And they go back and forth, and they acknowledge each other's feelings. Right. And even if the one kid, we talked to or had a restorative circle with 2 students, and it was a week later because they needed to calm down from the whole situation. But having that chance to acknowledge the other person, talk about how you made somebody else feel, why did you do it, what are you feeling, and that's, this all encompasses that. It's great because you're not just getting suspended or detention. You can acknowledge, and we can make a plan to fix it.
Yeah, that educating, I mean, you've gotta teach people how to treat people and having this common language in this flyer, along with maybe developing some of the other ones that educate some of our students on some of the other things and parents can look at as a resource. It's kind of our mission. I mean, if you can't teach people that, hey, when you hit somebody or when you do something like this, it causes harm, then, you're just gonna keep seeing the same problems. So that's our flyer that you have there. And again, sorry for the one that was in there. But that's the updated one and we'll get you that copy if you'd like to have it digitally. So.
Great. Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, thank you.
Looks like the next thing on the agenda is the elementary window project update.
Yes, Kelly, you are up, sir.
Next tab.
Okay, so with the window updates with Washington School and Lincoln School, using the ESSER funds that you guys approved last year, they came to us shortly after our December meeting, I believe, somewhere around there, Chris. And they said that the supplies had arrived. They had crews available currently, and they couldn't guarantee those crews would be available during the summer months. So asked us for a meeting and see if it was feasible, if they could come in during the winter months while school was in session or during our breaks and start on our project. So I did not want to make that decision, so we brought in Chris and Ann, the principals of the two buildings, and said, what do you ladies think? Is it something that you want to do? And they were gung-ho. They were like, yes, let's get this done. Let's get it knocked out. You never know once summer comes around because we're not the only school district or even any facility that is getting windows using the ESSER funds. So things are going to be a little thin during the summer months when school's out. So they agreed to go ahead and start this. They started before Christmas break. I believe it was December 5th.
I think so.
Something like that, December 5th. And so they started mainly at Lincoln because Washington still had some fast bridge testing to do and stuff. They didn't want all the noise and commotion going on. And so I'm just basically going to show you a quick update if you haven't had the chance to be able to drive by or see what's going on. I just got some pictures here. Obviously, this is the old exterior of Lincoln School, and you can see it that has the blocks, and that is the blocks are what's taking a lot of the time because it's a real tedious process to get each one of those blocks knocked out, and they're pretty heavy. He was thinking about 6 to 8 pounds per block. So actually, the windows that were used way back then are really just all steel because it has to be able to hold all that weight up. So that's what we did have, and here's what we have currently. And it is a lot better. You walk up to it, it keeps a lot more of the noise out of the building. Obviously the air, you can't, when you put your hand up to it, you can't feel the cold air at this time coming through there. The ones that are a little darker in frame are the ones that will prop open to allow ventilation into the individual buildings. So it is quite an upgrade. This top part, they're all blacked out up at the top because that's kind of where our drop ceiling comes down. So we didn't want people to be able to see where our drop ceiling was and be able to see up into the attic. So that part's blacked out there. So is that your guys' 4th grade room? It's furthest classroom.
The second grade room.
Second grade. It's the furthest classroom towards the west, still on Harvey Street there. And that's that classroom from the inside before it was I don't know if that's the exact same classroom, but that's what it looks like currently if you were looking at an old interior classroom. So you can see that there's not quite as much opportunity for light to come in, which is also going to create a problem when you're using one of these boards like this, but we're going to solve that as well. So here's what it looks like from the inside now. And you can see that it does provide a lot more light and update into the classrooms. Here's just kind of a comparison of the new compared to the old. Don't pay attention to well, we need to power wash and so forth on the brick, but just focus on the windows right now. So you can see that it is quite an upgrade to the exterior of our building as well. So moving over to Washington, this is their library area, and we had a little delay at Washington because they had to have an engineer come in, because when they started getting into this, some of the headers and everything they thought were too old, but they were fine. They gave us the go ahead to keep on going. So that is their library area right there. And then not quite the same angle, but you can see the difference there. Same thing with them, their drop ceiling comes all the way down to this metal frame here, so that's all blacked out up there on that top. You can see that it does give it a lot better appearance. Here is one of their classrooms right next to the library they just all done is a shop, if you were to look from the inside out, looking out into their parking lot over there. That was kind of the goal right now, is to try to, over Christmas break, get as much done in that parking lot while nobody was using that parking lot. But again, run into problems, and then that 2-day delay waiting on an engineer to come down, that kind of put them behind. So they weren't able to get into the classrooms. They got the library completed, and then by the time students returned, we had to move to the front of the building over to the office area to allow them to park. And that's the library looking out. As you can see, they're still kind of working on it on the outside there with the genie there. It does provide a lot more. Their window a little bit larger that will open up, and there's another one over here as well. I'm on your way. Here is the office area, and this is the nurse's office right here. This is Miss Schindliver's office right there. Lot of block right there. And then here is what it looks like now. And I just took this one yesterday. And we did kind of run into a little issue here on this one, because you can see their drop ceiling right along there. So I got a hold of them today, and they said, don't worry about that. We will come and we'll do whatever needs to be done. They have been extremely, very, very easy to work with. You give DCS a call. DCS has a project manager on it, and so does Glazing System. They also have, so we basically have 2 project managers working on these 2 projects. So I don't know, they said they could either bring somebody in to raise our drop ceiling up to here, or they're going to do something to make that outline. I think the easier part would be for them to come in and raise our ceilings up right there, but we'll see. We'll let them take that part. So you can see it does make it a lot nicer on the appearance from the outside. Yeah. Not only that, those blocks, especially at Washington, I don't know if they're a little bit older or what, but you could go in there and you could feel the breeze coming through just the crack, like where they put the blocks together, where you could feel the breeze coming through there. So it does create a lot quieter atmosphere. Not only that, it helps with that energy efficiency. So here's kind of the remaining schedule for the 2 buildings. Lincoln's gonna continue on. They are working there along Harvey Street and started at the west end of that, and they're just gonna start moving their way east. And then, so they've gotten your backside on the playground done, and then all around the multi-purpose room, correct? Mm-hmm. Except for, we did find that up top there's some block where the awning kind of hangs out. There's 6 areas of blocks. They're gonna come back and do those as well. And they haven't started on your office area yet. They're gonna kind of hold off on that. So
They're
they're gonna,
still on second grade.
right, okay. They're
It
gonna,
takes about 4 to 5 days
per classroom. Yeah. 4 to 5 days per classroom, so you're looking at pretty much a week while they're there. So they're gonna keep moving, and Chris has the luxury of being able to have some more space where she can move some classrooms. They go in there. While we're on that, Chris, you wanna kind of give them an idea of what it's like while your students are there? I mean, and
Sure.
the crew themselves, what they're doing?
Yeah, the crew is amazing. They're very nice, they're very polite. They're like we had them stop when they were working on our gym because we had a student of the month celebration. He said, hey, I'll be out. He was. They clean up after themselves. I mean, it's not spotless. When you do any remodel, there's gonna be some dust around, but I mean, they clean up very, very nice. They're very polite. Communication is there all the time. It is a little bit noisy, but we were fortunate enough, our librarian, she said that she would give up her library and do library on a cart. So whichever class they're working on the windows on, they could be meeting inside the library during that time. So that worked out very, very well. It is a little bit loud, it is a little bit distracting, but I mean, they're getting used to it. And I mean, I don't think it's a huge, breakdown of the daily activities, things like that. It was a little cold when they had all the windows out of our gym. I'm not gonna lie, it was a little bit chilly.
And I think we lost a couple of days when it got way down, like into the teens. I don't think they went in there and worked on those days.
Yes, they did, I saw them.
On some of them, yeah,
Yeah.
they would work in small parts, and then you don't have the small windows over here as like Washington does.
Not the closet windows, huh?
And so they're gonna finish that north side and then start on the south side, get the rest of that staff room and library completed. And then lastly, they'll do that west side that has the 2 stories on that side. And then Washington, they kind of mapped it out because Ann's kind of in a little bit different situation where she doesn't have as much room to be able to relocate students. So I went back to January, they went ahead and did the nurse's office and principal's office, just like what the pictures I just showed you. And then today they were just gonna work on the outside and do a lot of the caulking and do that kind of stuff. And then they're going to take a little bit of break here because she has some things that she wants to get done in her building. And that's the best thing about them. They're like, yep, whatever, we do not wanna disrupt your students. So they're gonna actually come, she said, I'll give you Friday. So they're gonna come on January 13th on Friday, work over the weekend, and then we're off next Monday. So they're gonna work on that on the 16th. And hopefully this is their plan, is to get that 4th and 5th grade classroom done, which is on the parking lot side. So then we can get our parking lot back. And then January 17th and 18th, they have those small closet windows. They're gonna work on those. And then we're going to meet again on next Tuesday to see what further scheduling needs to be done to complete both buildings. So.
If you drive by Lincoln, you'll notice by the entrance doors on F Street, if you look at the first gym window, there's a white square inside the window. And there was a mishap on ordering the glass for that particular window, but it is coming. It's just not there right now. So if you look at it, it does look a little bit odd. But they just couldn't find the actual piece of glass that went in there. They're going to get it.
Any questions?
Do any of the rooms need like blinds or
Yes.
That's gonna be that's
Yes.
gonna be our next.
It is so bright in there. I mean, it's
you can just tell
It's a
when,
mood
when
changer.
the blocks
Oh,
were
yeah.
gone, you don't see that
Yeah.
much, but
it's very bright, very nice,
Okay.
very, very welcoming. It's
Yeah. So bright in there.
I told Adam, I think it updated the building by 20, 30,
Yeah.
40 years.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
yeah.
They look great.
But those guys are phenomenal. I
Yep,
mean,
they've been
if
doing a
anybody
great
ever
job.
asks, if I walked up there right now today and said, hey, you're too loud, I need you to leave, they would leave.
Wow.
I mean, so they are amazing to work with.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kelly.
Hey Darcy, on the ESSER funds, did they change what we can use the funds for? Did they do any changes?
They
Thought I
have
heard
not a
some
lot.
rumblings about that they're
No,
changing.
not a lot. They still want you still have to meet the 20% has to be towards the land loss.
I didn't know, I just heard something, so I'm gonna ask you since we're talking ESSER funds. What else do we have upcoming that we're gonna be using the ESSER funds?
We were looking at some of the HVAC units. We're looking at that, working on getting an RFP out for bids for that project.
Good update. Looks like the next thing we have is the special meeting request.
Yes, for the athletic facility survey last month, the board had decided they needed a little bit tweaking to the survey that was presented by Shelley. I gave you last month. Unfortunately, she is not able to be here this evening, and so I was wanting to do a quick special board meeting if it works for your schedules on January 23rd. Shelley would be here that evening, and hopefully we could make it short and sweet, and we would make it a special board meeting, which means that you can vote if you're happy with the survey, and we can be done with it that evening, because I know we were close besides some tweaking at the last meeting. So just wanted to discuss that with the board and see if that works, and put it on the calendar if so.
Questions, discussion?
I don't know if I'm not sure of my schedule coming up here, so I might be taking off to my sister's, her husband's sick. And
Possibility by
yeah,
phone?
I'm not sure which week I'm going yet.
Okay. Yeah, just let me know, and if we can get you by phone, then we can,
Yeah.
if you end up going, that'd be great, yeah.
Hopefully a short meeting.
Yeah,
Just,
that's
Good.
yeah, that's all we're planning on, so.
Work for everybody?
I'm fine with it.
Thank you.
Okay. Is that it on that one?
That is it, yes.
Okay, first action item, the officers and committee assignments.
Yes, we need to, for the 2023 year, we need to have the board discuss and choose a president and a vice president for this year, and then after that, we can talk about potential committees and assignments.
Okay, open for discussion. So, got them listed there in the agenda, so you can kind of see what we have available. Like Adam said, we need to try to get 2 people on each one of those.
Yeah, and if we're talking committees, facilities committee, I think you guys know about that at this point, negotiations, same thing, policy, same thing, we just need 2 people to represent each of those, that all 3 of those will have projects going on. One thing that Cody mentioned, this is something the board has talked about, and so he wanted to bring this up as an idea, as kind of a middle ground. One thing that has come up each time a board member for the rec is approved by our board is the possibility of us having or the board having representation on their board, and so what he thought would be a good idea, and he talked to the rec board about, is having kind of a middle ground person, like a non-voting member that would attend meetings and be a part of that to start off with, and then see where it developed from there. So I put that down as a potential committee, and then I talked to you about we had to start calendar committee last week because we had an opportunity to get everybody together, and so Andrea jumped on board after I emailed you about that, and so we've already had a meeting there. So that would be, and then any other committees or anything the board is interested in, then you're welcome to throw out there, but that's kind of what the district was looking at for 2023.
I'd like to stay on the facility committee if possible.
I'd like to stay on negotiations.
I'd like to stay on facilities.
Why do we need policy?
Because we are getting that new service, and they will be asking us to do different things based off of that moving forward. So we signed up for it, and so they will be sending us
That's
questionnaires.
what I thought, they were gonna do it, so I didn't know why we needed it.
Yeah, but we still have to run all that stuff through the board. They won't set policy, it's just how we organize policy, that's all it is.
I'll stay on the policy.
I'll ask about that later, I'm just confused.
So since I've been kind of the squeaky wheel on the WRC thing, I would volunteer for that. And then I would go maybe 1 more year on negotiations.
I'll do policy.
Okay, so I have Tom and
Feeling hungry for anything, Chris?
I'm sorry.
It's just too hard for me to get
I hear you.
into the committees during the afternoon, so it's best that I don't
Totally understand.
go on any committees, cause I'm always missing them, so.
Sure. Facilities committee, I have Tom and Brandon. Negotiations, I have Pat and Jason. Policy, I have Andrea and Deanna. And non-voting member of the rec board, Jason. And Andrea for calendar committee. That all sound correct?
So do we need 1 more for the calendar committee, or are you okay?
No,
with
I
this?
think that's fine.
Okay,
I think,
just
yeah.
representation.
Yeah, just, that was something the
that's
board
great.
discussed wanting to have this year, and so I think just having somebody there.
Okay.
Would be great.
So, now president and vice president.
Jason, I think you're doing a great job as president, and
I second
I'll make a motion to nominate Jason as the board president.
Yeah, and I second that.
You seconded before I made the motion.
Sorry.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
No.
I'll abstain. So, you know. So, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2 no's. So,
I said aye.
Oh, you did.
Who's the other no?
I would be since I
Oh, okay.
abstained.
Does he abstain?
But where's my no? Okay.
So 5-2.
Vice President.
I nominate Deanna Garber.
Deanna, I think you're doing great unless you don't want it. I mean, if anybody else, I say I don't want it.
That's fine.
Who else?
All right, I'll second for it.
I'll make a motion to nominate Deanna as board vice president.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same.
No.
I'm just abstaining.
So I think the numbers were the same there.
Yes, okay, got it.
Okay, thanks everybody for jumping on and helping out there.
Yes, thank you very much, appreciate it.
Moving on to administrative reports.
All right. Jump in there.
It's flying by.
It is, isn't it?
So
It's crazy.
just finished up fast bridge testing, so we're kind of diving into data there. Just kind of getting everybody back on track to start the second semester. For in-service, went over some expectations and still just trying to mold our culture a little bit more at the middle school, and but I think it's going in a positive direction. So.
That's for sure. Done a great job.
I've heard good things.
By the way, I got those things fixed in the auxiliary gym for you.
Good. Not for me.
No.
Yeah,
You
but
you mentioned so. I just want to let you know we
So
made
did
sure
I.
it's fixed. So
The things, remember Jason, the things in the, yeah, they were coming down again. And you got it swept.
Cool.
Being a principal is hard, and being a first-year principal is
I'm
double.
tired a lot.
So we
I got a great assistant principal. He's really the principal. I'm kind of
You guys are all doing great. Anything else? Any questions from the board or anything else you guys want to share?
First, I want to say thank you for all of your MTSS or your FastBridge reporting. It was really, Jen sent it to us too, but it was so much easier to see your individual grades and classes, and it was nice and big, and you know, like you could read it real easily, so you could tell which grade was, you know, and it looks like we're really going in a good direction, because it's not easy right now, the time the kids have had off and stuff. So I really appreciate you guys all putting that in your reports, because it made it easy to read and understandable. So thanks for doing that. And then I've been talking to JJ and Audrey a little bit about the bathrooms at the women's bathroom and the men's bathroom by the basketball court. And so we talked again today, and I know they don't have enough help, and we have a resignation for the head night guy. And so I think, Audrey, did you do some checking?
I did, it's very
Our pay
preliminary.
is so low, we're not gonna get anybody.
I just started it today, actually comparing the linear districts, like much like we do for negotiations. Like I said, it's I talked to 3 schools, but only 2 schools had sent me their stuff by the time I got here. And I talked to Mulvane and El Dorado. So just, you know, what they're paying their custodians. So first off, El Dorado has 8 custodians at the high school, where we have 3, and been approved for 4, or 5, just 5
4 at
now.
night,
It was
yeah.
4 until we asked for the, but we just can't get anybody to apply, to be honest. And then the couple, we called one and he wanted $18 an hour, so then he just refused to come to the interview. But El Dorado starts theirs off at $10.73 per hour with no experience. If they have experience, she said it's about 20 cents for every year. The other one, Mulvane, gave me theirs, and they start at $10 an hour with 15 cents bonus or extra for that's just their entry for every year experience. But the difference with those schools are whatever the board and the negotiated agreement comes up with for salary. So like this year, our teachers got a 4% raise, for instance, if that was the case. That's also what they get. So we just did some quick math with our secretaries, because I was doing the research on them also. I mean, that's every year it's $1 almost raise. And so if we're wanting to keep people, you know, the $11 that we're offering them is just, it's not, nobody wants to come clean these toilets, or students shoving oranges in their toilets and cracking apples on the walls. It's just really hard to, nobody wants to clean that for $11 an hour, which is what we're, for
So it's
nighttime, it's 10:20.
It's 10.25 for a regular
10.25.
custodian, and if we have a head position, it's $3.35 more, or 30 cents more. And so currently the state of our building, definitely our day guy who is new, he's our new lead custodian. He's phenomenal, does a great job, and we have 2 night guys that are working to keep their rooms clean, to run their routes, and to get those things done. We do have another applicant that we interviewed on Friday that we're going to offer to, and see what we get back on that. But we're still currently a night lead short. And the last one that we offered to, when he resigned, he got a raise where he was, so he stayed there. So, but yes, we are having some difficulties keeping things stocked with our destruction that happens as well. There's some of those that we don't replace because they just destroyed that. So we're looking at ways to, it's definitely not as bad as it was in the past, as I understand it, but looking at ways to impact our ability to keep the building clean. We've talked with Ms. Phelps about BoE rehab and how that might work with our students that are looking for some jobs and things, and seeing what we can do with some of those for some of that training that some of the kids in one of our teachers' classes currently do at lunch anyway. So we're working on that.
The reason, I mean, I've talked to him about before, but then about 3 weeks ago, a gal from here came up to me and said, you know, have you seen the bathrooms? I'm like, I know, I'm on it, I just, you know. And then Saturday at a bitty basketball game, watching my granddaughter, a friend of mine from Caldwell came up and she said, I just want you to know, you need to know this. 2 of my friends went to McDonald's to the bathroom. So Sunday, I went and cleaned those bathrooms, the women's bathroom. There were things on the floor, and it is so, and I've told these guys 1,000 times, they're working and doing the best they can. There were things on that bathroom floor that have been there since the last basketball season. And if we aren't gonna take pride in our schools, and I don't think the kids use that one a whole lot, because it seems like it's the same filth from the year before during basketball. And that's pretty embarrassing when people come up to you and tell you they went to McDonald's to the bathroom instead of using, and we have 2 home games this week. So I think we can talk about it later in executive session, and we need to talk about money, but I just don't think we can wait to offer people. You know, the night shift usually pay more, and we're paying them
Well,
barely.
unfortunately, what we're paying is gonna be a revolving door, because you can go down to Browns, whatever, and get a lot
Yeah, but I
more
mean,
than-
we've got to start being competitive, what am I trying to say? Competitive, that's what I'm trying to say. Because we have to take pride in our school. I mean, I don't know, if we don't have to expect the kids to.
The other thing that would help is if we had a night lead that was a true leader. So if we could find someone that would lead that group, we'd get a lot better results out of that group.
I'll send you the pictures if you don't believe me. And I don't clean, I don't like cleaning, I'm not a good cleaner. But the 2 home games this week, Andale and Collegiate, I was losing sleep over it, so.
Well, it's not just here. I mean, we had basketball games up in Wichita, and their bathrooms are the same way.
No, not the ones I'm looking at. If you look at them like I look at them, they're nothing like ours.
Right. Well, they're pretty nasty up there too. I think it's just a health issue too.
Yeah, it is. Okay, anything else on administrative reports?
Hey,
Yeah.
I have something I'd like to, oh, go ahead.
Sorry,
Nope, go ahead.
while you guys are talking about custodians, I know at one time, you guys used to have a custodian that just did the vacuuming or something in the afternoon or evenings. I can't remember what I was told exactly, but I know that my building could use some help in that area. There's just not enough time in the day to do everything because you have to kind of gauge it when the kids are at specials, so they're out of the room, you know. But then if there's puke that we have to clean up or something else that he has to clean up, and then he missed that opportunity in that room during that time, and so as long as you guys are thinking or discussing about custodians, I think if we could get somebody to help with just the vacuuming alone, I think would help us tremendously. I don't know about Joel, what do you think?
I feel like I've got the best custodian in the district. She's amazing, absolutely amazing, and
What
it's
does she
just too
make?
much.
I mean, she makes just peanuts.
I'm afraid she's gonna leave because she
Yeah, I
does
think
not
she
make
might.
enough,
Yeah,
and
I
she
think she
deserves
would
way
too. She's
more.
amazing.
And but
I understand.
that's what I'm really afraid of. Is she's gonna leave, and we're gonna
Peanuts,
get somebody that doesn't do an amazing job. But yeah, my custodian needs help and more money, and she works harder than about anybody in the district, any job. And she takes pride in her work, and it's hard to find people that do a job like that and take pride in it. So I'm in the same boat as Chris. I'll take any help that I can get from my custodian, but I do wish we could pay her more. Also, she deserves a lot more than
I
she
think
gets.
we did used to have somebody come in just at 4
Yeah,
o'clock
that
or
was a good
whatever and vacuum. I can remember that, but
Actually,
I think we did.
when I was elementary principal and I got budget cut while I was there, we used to have a daytime person and then we had a night custodian that came in each.
This person just came in and vacuumed everything, so the other person could take care of the cleaning and the,
That is how it used to be.
Paul, you got a
So,
question?
I wanna say this in a positive way. The tech report is really hard to read because it's so much copy paste from month to month. Like, we know that Chromebooks lids get shut on 8 pins. I've been reading that for 3 years. So the report starts out the same and it ends the same. So it's really hard. My brain is already checked out reading 75% a repeat. And if there's something new, it's kind of wedged in the middle. And then I end up with the, what is it? The warranty of the desktops is no longer active. That stuff's been on there for years. And I'm fine with, like a 1 sentence report. We don't need to make it, we know he's working hard and we know he's doing something. Is there a way to, I don't know. It's just, I don't know if anybody else feels the same way. I just have a hard time figuring out what's changed monthly on the tech report.
I'll talk to him.
I didn't want to just approach him directly because then it looks like I'm I don't know. But I wanted this to be a positive.
I never noticed it was.
I know he's working hard. I know he's got a lot going on. Just maybe put it in a different order or something. Put the new stuff at the top. Anyway, sorry.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on, executive session.
I will make a motion that we go into executive session to discuss non-elected personnel for 10 minutes to include the executive, or to include Adam and his team.
Gotta tell when the meeting's gonna resume.
Oh, and so the meeting will resume at 7:33.
I'll second that.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same. Good.
secretary at the high school. And approve resignations. Alicia Bright, lead custodian at the high school. Dawn Smith, bus para at the high school. Kathy Ford, title teacher Kennedy. And Matt Gerber, science teacher at the high school.
I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same. Okay. Board comments. Start with Pat over there.
I don't know. I've already asked, like, the custodial thing was my big deal.
Moving on.
I have to, I'll clean them every week before Monday.
Good?
Yeah.
So I'll kind of echo what Pat said. I really appreciated the test scores being put on the monthly report, and they're looking good. Esports, shout out to esports for being the first year that we're in this to pull off what we did and to have that kind of postseason. Great job by the students and the staff, and everybody that helped keep that thing moving. That's all I have.
That's been great.
Yeah, I'll just echo what Tom said. The reports look great, and the test scores kind of looks like we're heading in the right direction. So, good deal.
I don't have anything other.
I don't have anything.
All right.
I really like this thing they put together, and I think
Yeah,
where
it's
he
cool.
came from has some they did great things where he was at, and he's got some really good positive things, which is nice.
Good deal. Well, with that, I believe we're adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
We're gonna call him John because I can't. Say the whole lot.
I think he's fine.
Transfer. Hey, Darcy. What is vocations?
Wait, we pull it out.
Sorry, I just hadn't seen that before, I don't think. Have I seen that?
Yeah, it's a normal, we have to transfer for
I
the
thought we
state,
put it in
we're
the
required,
cat fell out.
Oh, yeah.
so,
Is that the same one?
I'm
you
gonna
showed
go watch
us?
the game.
Yeah.
See ya.
no, it's a normal one.
Give me you don't have to give me a detail, just.
I'll send you something.
We had a meeting
Well, you-
today and we added